at least on my end. Let's look at YouTube.
Just checking too.
There it is. Oh, beautiful 1080p.
We did it.
We did it. We did it, everybody.
We did it.
All right. Okay.
Incredible.
This is the third time I'm doing this, but I'm going to do it again. Hi, everybody. I'm Jamon Holmgren, CTO of Infinite Red. With me is Matt Pocock. He works for Stately, which is a company built around the awesome system, the JavaScript system, XState. And he works on things like the XState visualizer and editor. And we're going to be taking an app that I built for my family with a semi-complex login flow and converting my implicit state all over into a beautiful, amazing XState state machine. So that's kind of the goal here.
Sounds good. Yep.
I get better at it every time.
That was really smooth.
Thank you.
Really smooth.
Thank you.
As an ex-public speaking coach, I approve.
I've been getting better. The thing is, like, I have to do it all the time because I'm streaming twice a week. I do a podcast once a week, and I do sales, and so I'm on YouTube. This is all I do, is just be on this sort of thing. So,
just talking.
Yeah, and code. So that's why I stream, so I can code while I'm talking. That's the part that I like.
So you combine.
Thanks so much, Matt, for joining me, and we're going to get started here. Franks2 TV, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. And thanks to everybody for coming back too. That's awesome. Nice. Cool. All right, let's get started. We were looking when we dropped off here. We were looking at this, which is the Stately Visual Editor. And where do you want to go next, Matt?
Well, we could do a few things. Because I guess the goal here is to start using XState to kind of like think through this sort of problem that you're having.
Yeah.
And so if I was like a consultant coming to your company and sort of like going, what problem are you having? Where are the states and how do we plan this? And this is like a really challenging problem for anyone who's using state charts, because state charts are a different mental model than how you're used to.
Right.
And so working out how to start building your state chart is kind of quite tricky. So why don't we go to the Stately Visual Editor?
Okay.
We can, which is, by the way, the tool that I'm working on as a developer, and I'm a developer advocate for it. And we can just start talking through the problem and working out sort of what's happening. So why don't you
your
show
CEO's
me?
here.
We can.
Sorry,
my CEO.
David
here.
David just followed. Thanks for the follow, David.
Oh, okay. He's here.
Yeah, behave.
Behave. Okay. All right.
So go ahead.
All right. So I tell you what. Why don't you explain the problem space just in any language, or show me code, or whatever you want to do, and we can work it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually going to really quickly yarn iOS, and that's gonna run it's an Expo app, but I've actually I actually have like an iOS folder because I'm building it in Xcode rather than using the Expo. Should have done that beforehand. So here's my FamSpace app and my test stuff here. I'm going to log out. Let's log out. And don't make fun of my design here. I haven't gotten to really polishing that yet.
Nice.
So we have this login. And by the way, thank you for the follow, Roshan GM. Appreciate it. Also, there's a question in chat. Yassine says, can we use XState for any project size or only for small projects?
For any project size. It's in production in all sorts of places. I can't remember. Like, it's definitely in Microsoft. It's in Google somewhere. It's in Amazon. It's in loads and loads of places. It's in way more places than you'd expect, because it's mostly in enterprise clients actually that use XState for the really complex problems.
Yep. Yeah, it's this is something where, like, obviously when you're building a small app, you might not think about it too much, but as you start getting into something bigger, it starts getting complex quickly. And so this is definitely the first place where I started to feel it. I actually tweeted, like, I'm redoing my auth code again. I really should just use XState for this.
Yeah.
So I click login, and then this is using Firebase and Firebase auth. And so we pop open this, and I use my kind of test email here. And then right now I have a family and everything, so it just logs it all in. I'm actually going to remove my family at some point here, so this test family, so that we can come back and see it in full action here. So, but I'm going to describe what happens there. So essentially what we have is log in with Google. Right now it's just Google. I'll probably have to add other ones at some point, because at least Apple requires that you use Apple login for stuff as well. So once you log in with Google, then you have a situation where we need to check Firestore. So we have a Google user. I'm just going to call it that because that's what I call it in my code. Check Firestore for a Firestore user, and the Firestore user is separate from the auth user, like the Google user, because potentially someone could log in with multiple different ways, but you need one user, kind of one canonical user. And so this is at /users and /UID. So you're gonna be finding that.
So that's is that like a promise basically, where you say, I want that information from that API and it brings it back?
Correct. It's asynchronous. Cool. I could even show you that, but it will, yeah. So we're basically doing a get over there. So or get doc, I think is what it's called in Firestore. So we're getting a document. This isn't a wait. Actually, just assume that all of this stuff is asynchronous.
Okay.
So if there's a user, then we have a situation here where we need to set the current user in our state, right? And then we move on to the next thing. If no user, we just create one. Create user.
Okay.
And then get user again. So users UID. So we're going to get that user once it's done. So we know that we have it. So, and then we have to set user and state. And of course, you're already starting to see like, okay, we have some stuff here that is repeating it, right? In fact, I suppose we could reverse these and make it a little simpler, but that's okay. Now, once we have a user, now get users family IDs. So just like I could have just made this just for my family, where there's a kind of there is no concept of a family. The whole Firestore is just my family and blah blah blah. But I was like, you know what? I would actually like my sister. I talked to my sister, and she would actually like to use this app too. So why not have the ability to create a family? And maybe there's a situation where like my mom and dad would want to have this app for my siblings just to communicate with us. And so maybe I might have two families, in my system here, and I can choose between
leading a double life.
Yeah, leading my double life. Exactly. They can't know about each other. So that's kind of, part of this as well. So we check and see if there are no family IDs, or if the family ID is invalid. Actually, let me look here. So if one family ID, check if valid, right? If okay, that's not how this logic works. Hold on. Check family IDs to ensure they are valid, because maybe one of the things I always have to be thinking about is the security model of my data, and because you can create and update your user, and there isn't a way in Firestore to like fine-grain control that, they could technically go in there and edit their family IDs and change it to whatever they want. So I do have a way to prevent that, but I need to verify this is irrelevant. But okay, just making sure that the family hasn't been deleted in the meantime, because that will actually happen in our demo here.
And it won't cascade through, for instance. So
not in this case, no. I probably should do that. It probably should be a thing. And for the most part, these family IDs are, there's a little bit of my limitation of knowledge around Firestore here. But yeah, anyway, this is how this works right now. So if family IDs dot length is 0, Then we need to create a family, right? And I'll do that in a second. If family IDs.length is 1, just go to family, right? Family 1. And if, oh, nice. Thank you. If family IDs.length is greater than 1, choose family. Because you have to be able to, we want to choose which family we're going to.
Got you.
I actually don't have this implemented at all, so we can ignore it, but that is what's going to happen. Then you have to get the create family thing. We have to ask for family name, and if valid, create family in Firestore. This is all pseudocode, obviously. And then get family. And then go to family. Thanks for the follow, T.S. Neiman. Is that Tyler? How's it going, Tyler? By the way, Dax is asking, what does the app do? It's an app that Jamon is building to communicate with the family. We're looking at the login flow. Frank says, hey all, and Dax says, a chat app, cool beans. Thanks for clearing that up. It's a little more than chat, but yes, that is a piece of it. And there's Tyler. Cool. Anything so far, Matt? I know I'm just kind of forging ahead here.
This is great. Because this seems like the happy path, basically.
Yes, it very much is.
We're thinking about the sort of like the dream flow, and that makes sense, definitely.
Yep.
So we should think at some point about errors and handling all that sort of stuff. But it seems like at some point you will reach the end of this, and we'll get to a state where what kind of view do we end up in?
Yes. Once you get to the very end of this, then you will be loading the main view. Load main kind of navigation, basically, which will be it's going to be a tab bar view, which has a feed, which is like a social feed or news, or it's home, I guess is what I call it. It's like news, chat, and settings so far. I'll probably I'm going to be adding a bunch more stuff there, but that's what we have right now.
Okay, sounds good.
In fact, I'll just go ahead and pull that up so people can see it. Loading it up, and here you go. So there's like chat, there's settings, there's home. So and yeah, this is all just work in progress stuff, but this is the end state here. And there is one last thing here. We have to create a member of the family. So my current user and the current family, and the member is how I do like permissions. And then I have to get the member, get doc, and this is like /families, family ID, and then members, and then the user ID. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. That's it. That's the happy path. That's all, the whole happy path here. And at any point, someone could come back to the app, and this is already done because I have a short circuit for loading if you've already logged in. So then it goes through this whole thing, and it could land anywhere in the middle of this and stop. And there might be like an error or an issue, or have to divert to the page, for example. This is a whole page here. You don't have a whole flow because you have to stop and wait for user input. They can log out. They can, kill the app. Things like that can happen in all of these places.
Okay, cool. So all of these events take time, basically. So
they do.
These okay. Cool. Could you save this as like a .txt file or something so I can have a look at it and edit it and stuff?
Why is it unable to write? I'll just copy it. Oh, geez. What did I just...
Oh, strange.
Is it gone?
Is it gone?
No!
Oh, no! Well, it's all right. I think because what we can do now is we can...
What happened there? Yeah, that was weird. I hit save and it opened a new tab. I tried to close it and it closed the original. That's so weird.
That was deeply weird. Yeah, what we'll do then is we can recreate this in the Stately editor.
Yeah, okay.
So what it seems like to me is that this whole thing is like a logging in state, essentially, where and when you're building a machine, you can think of the machine that you're building as kind of like a use state instance in React. And because use state, it's kind of got like a value, and then it updates the value. Or a better way to think about it might be a reducer, actually. Because for those who haven't used reducers before, they're kind of like a little function that allow you to send events to like a little box, essentially, in your app. And inside that black box, it will update its internal state and return you the new state. So the best thing that we can probably do, actually, is just think about all of the different events that can happen as part of this. So why don't we actually just take like a text file or something again and just write down all of those different events. So the
I'm
ones
make
that
it this time as a real file so I don't screw this up again.
That sounds good, yeah. And I can start editing that as well too. So what events mean, essentially, is that we have, if I can start jumping in here, can you see what I'm writing?
Yes, I can.
There
is a get user. There's
we can think of that as like get user.succeeded, and then get user.failed, or in fact, because it's a promise, it can resolve or reject.
Reject, perfect. Yep.
What other ones? What other promises?
We have a get family.
Family. What else?
We have a get member.
Create family as well.
You have a create family. Yep.
And get member.
Get member. We also have like Google login, which can happen. Which is at the very top. But I don't know if that's another piece of that.
Does that work as a promise as well?
I think it. I'm not entirely sure how it works, to be honest, because I'm not calling like I'm calling sign in with credential, but that is actually when we're coming back. Let's see here. So I actually get this show Google, this prompt async thing. I don't know how it works. I just call it and it just works. So maybe not something we're too worried about right here, but it's not like an async function. When I call it, it pops up something outside of the app and then it comes back.
Oh, I see. Okay. And do you get like a callback from that? Like
there is a callback. Yeah. So this is when we get the response back in this hook, the use ID token auth request. When that response comes back and we're re-rendering, then we can look at it and see, was the type success, and if so, then this is basically your callback. You can
got you.
You can do stuff like that. So.
Oh man, we're gonna really clean up this code. I can't wait. Okay, so we've got like basically sign in with Google success, essentially, and also I guess sign in with Google failure.
Yeah, and I assume that can happen. I actually haven't tried that path yet, but yeah.
And there's also like, because we get the response back from Google that says something to us, but the user also presses something as well. So they press something in the UI to say, I want to sign in with Google.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. So you notice that I'm kind of like, I'm dividing these up into like user events and also like things that can come back from service, like from promises or from external events. So we'll think of these as like kind of like user events and then code events, let's say.
Yeah.
Sign with Google, etc. And I think is that everything, right? There's no like the user can't click anything else. They can't. Can they interrupt this as it's going?
Yes. So technically, if they went to the sign in with Google, they could just hit cancel, I guess. But that would probably be the failure state or canceled state. Not too particularly, no. Otherwise,
okay, cool. So it just rolls through basically when they've started.
This part, certainly other parts over here can be interrupted, but yeah, this part for sure.
Cool.
The create family part can be interrupted because there's actually so there's a join family which we need to add here. So
yeah, resolve and reject. Yeah.
So, okay.
Cool. This is really meaty. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we need to get a sense of like, now that we've got all the events gathered together, we need to get a sense of the very first state that the app is going to be in. So when this like auth flow begins, what is visible on screen?
Let's go take a look. This is what's shown on the screen. Now, this may change, but for now, this is what it is. It's basically just a login button.
Okay. So let's add that as our first state in our Stately AI editor.
Okay.
So what we can do is if you go back to the Stately editor, and if you just delete all the stuff that's there, basically, just
delete this?
Yeah, get it all gone.
How do I delete it?
You can, or in fact, if you just click and drag all of the stuff inside that main state there, there should be like a selection box you can drag and just sort of delete that little first state in the event and that sort of thing.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's happened. I don't have a very quick feedback yet.
So what would I name something like this? Is this going to be like, how would you name this?
This is like the top level machine, right? So you can call this, this is basically the auth flow. So auth flow machine, let's say.
Do you do it like a camel case like this? I mean, I know I'm kind of asking basic questions here, but.
Yeah, this is actually a really good question, right? Because if you want to come back to this later, you could either do this camel case, sort of, and that's kind of like dev friendly and dev focused.
Right.
But imagine if you're using this inside your organization and you're thinking, oh, I actually kind of want to show this to my project manager.
Yeah.
Project managers don't want to read camel case. They want to read sentence case.
Okay.
Right?
Fair.
So yeah, whatever you choose, I don't mind.
Okay. Nice.
So if you click that root state now, and if you click the button above it, which is like add, that allows you to add a new state to that machine. And let's give this a name, which is like showing login button.
Okay. I'm done with that.
You're done with that. And so now what we can do is now we think of that state. We visualize that in our mind and we think, what can the user do from this point? So what can they do from this point?
Click the login button.
So now if you grab one of those little handles to the left, to the bottom, or to the right, click and drag that out, you can create an event with a new state.
Pretty. I like it. That's
nice.
That's smooth. Okay. And
Not
there's an
too bad,
event. Clicked. Do you just say clicked, or do you say like clicked login button?
You want to be specific about what's going on screen. So you want to be descriptive.
You don't want a bunch of clicked events. You want clicked login button.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we click the login button, and then what happens?
Okay. Let's go take a look. It does this, but really what it's doing in the code is it's kicking off the Google auth flow. I don't control this part.
Yes, right. So this is interesting because we can think of this as kind of like delegating part of our code to something else.
Right.
Or we're listening for something, or like having something, delegating to something which is going to reply to us.
Right.
So in XState terms, we will call this a service.
Okay.
Or I think it's invocations. So we're invoking something. So what you can do is on the right-hand panel, while you've got that selected, you can click that and add a new invocation. Okay. And that invocation, you can call the SRC or the source. Let's say sign in with Google. And that can be any case you like. So sentence case, Pascal case, whatever case.
Yep.
And let's save that and add it in.
Just like that, no ID.
No ID. Yeah, we don't need ID is optional.
Okay. So, and then we would call this the Google auth, you said service, or what would you call this?
Yeah, this would be a service, basically. Okay. So we're invoking a service. Perfect. And by the way, a cool thing for folks who are sort of just tuning in is actually we've been rewriting the XState docs for like the past 2 months or something. And I'm going to put this in the chat. I've just got to accept the chat rules. I'm putting this in chat on Twitch and on YouTube as well.
Nice.
And so these, we would love some feedback on these docs, by the way. And you can, maybe you want to check them out as well, Jamon. Like there's like this whole services section, which we've rewritten as well, which sort of explains about all these concepts. And with state charts, like there are a lot of concepts to get through. But I mean, God, I just love these new docs. Like they're so pretty.
They are. These are super pretty. Ooh, and if you hover over stuff, you get like Like more context. Okay, this is cool. It's like
You can even click the code examples to view them in the editor. That's like the crazy
no
thing.
way. Click
Yeah,
view
see
in
on the
editor.
top
Okay,
right?
that's really cool.
Yeah. So we're super proud
Wow.
of these. These are going to
That's
be
super
releasing, I
cool.
think,
Yeah,
sometime
nice
soon.
work, man. That's awesome.
Thanks. So yeah, so this is an invocation basically.
Right.
Now that we've got our invocation, we can start listening for. So let's deal with the happy path now, which is the
Yeah.
success.
Mm-hmm.
If you click and drag one of those handles, you can click and drag out from the node
Okay.
and create a new state.
Okay.
And what you notice is that it's automatically chooses the happy path. So it's giving you your
Ooh.
done event, basically.
It's just
And
kind of
this
like
is essentially...
it's kind of like, okay, most likely you're going to want to do the done path first. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you click out another one, it'll do the error event.
Right. Okay. That's cool.
So
I like UIs that kind of anticipate what the normal thing is. So let's just really quickly. So all of this stuff I don't need to worry about. It's not me handling it. It's just at the end of it, I need to know what happened. So okay, it skipped through a bunch of stuff, but essentially, the sign with Google is done. The new state that actually we would generally be running into. And actually, do you mind if I just really quickly remove that that user's family so that we can kind of start from scratch there?
Yeah, sounds good. I'll catch up with chat.
Perfect.
So John Major C reminds me of a flowchart, but with more pizzazz. Love it. Yeah, it is basically a flowchart, except it's a flowchart that's executable in your code, or executable in your code. So it's more complex than a flowchart, and you can have flowcharts within flowcharts and different state nodes and all this kind of stuff. Versel, I see you are also a man of class, says Dax. Yeah, I actually did a live stream with Versel talking about Turbo Repo just yesterday. Turbo Repo, if you don't know, is kind of this mono repo tool, which is kind of on fire at the moment. It seems really, really cool. And I think that's everybody. Yeah. Oh, snap. Nice docs. They are nice docs.
Yeah.
We work really hard on them. It's amazing how I've been a developer advocate for only about 2 months now, officially at Stately. It's amazing how much slower it is writing code, writing words as opposed to writing code, because like writing code, you just sort of spit it out and it's done, and the machine will forgive you, the computer will forgive you if you write bad code. If you write bad words, no one will forgive you, It's, oh man. Daxudo, I love Turbo Repo. Yeah, it's great. Cool. How you doing, Jamon?
Yes, good. I actually got to the other state. So,
oh, sweet.
Yeah, so we're logged in. Yep. Oh yeah, Turbo Repo. Yeah. Cool. So there were a couple other states that happened here, but the user doesn't see them. What do you do in those situations? Because there's a fair amount of like back and forth happening.
Yeah. So we don't need to think of each of our states as necessarily corresponding to a visual state.
Okay.
So these states can be kind of like invisible to the user, if we like. So this is really just an abstract like representation of what's happening in the system.
Makes sense.
We can structure it like that if we want to. If we be sort of more opinionated about it, but we don't need to. So let's go to our next state, what happens after signing with Google Success?
Logged in with Google user is essentially the state, but we're like, that's all. We don't have a lot of the other stuff we need.
Okay, but what are we doing inside that state?
Now we need to check for if the Firestore user exists. That's the next thing that has to happen. If it doesn't exist, we need to create it. If it exists, we need to load it.
Cool. So a good way to think about naming states is using like a continuous verb, or like describing what's happening inside that state. So here it would be getting user from Firestore.
Okay.
Yeah. And so now that we've talked about services, what do you think we're going to need to do inside this to kind of make it get the user?
Sorry, Matt, but something just occurred to me about this. You don't have to say logged in as Google user, because that's already contained here. It's already contained above it that you are signed in with Google. That's the state. The state is already there. You don't have to say that my state is that I'm logged in with Google, because you would never get to the state without being logged in as Google. So
exactly,
that makes sense. It's really the state is really about what we're looking at next, basically.
Yeah, and what's occurring right now, basically.
What's occurring right now.
You can even you can even like add that as a description if you like. You notice there's a little description on the right hand panel.
Oh yeah.
Or you can just add like a little thing saying at this point we have a Google user logged in.
A Google user, and need to check Firestore if there is a corresponding user. Okay.
Tasty.
There we go.
Yeah. So and by
like
the way,
that.
anytime that you're sort of like playing around with this, you can press the simulate button down the bottom. And what simulate does is it simulates what will happen based on what's happening in your app.
Oh, you just click the action.
Click it, yeah, you just click it.
And you see state on the right.
Exactly. Yep.
That's brilliant. I love it. That
so
is
you can
so
go back
cool.
To states, preview states, all that sort of stuff.
That is so cool. Okay.
Yeah, John Major C, I like how this is very self-documenting. Absolutely. It's automated, generated documentation. Like, it's just so cool. You come back to this in like 5 years or something, and you understand exactly what's going on.
What's going on. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Okay,
because here's the thing, Matt. Like, we've all been in situations where you build some sort of a complex flow, and then someone's like, I don't understand this. I need to make a flow chart. So you make a flow chart, and then that flow chart falls out of date very quickly, and it no longer represents what actually is happening. Where if this is the single source of truth, more or less, and you can copy and paste a flow back into this and see what it looks like and stuff, that just totally like changes the way that you would approach this. This is very cool.
Totally. So based on what we have in the previous state, what do you think you need to do now in order to actually get the user, in order to make it do the thing?
We need to do a fetch from Firestore.
Exactly. In state chart terms, what does that look like?
So that would be one of these events, I guess, or no? Well, okay. So the event that kicks it off is just code. It's just saying like get from Firestore. So what's going on there? Like what?
Yeah. So basically what happens is an invocation is the thing that we need.
Oh,
and
okay.
an invocation, the way it works is it basically says, for the duration of this state, run this thing. Right. So when we enter this state, start doing something. And when the service itself or the invocation responds with an event, listen for that event and work out what we need to do next.
So remember, I was writing that fetch from user IDs. Everything, by the way, that says fetch now is coming from Firestore, because everything comes from Firestore here. So cool. So the invocation there, and then that invocation. So we don't have to create an event from that, like one of these guys. We need to create an invocation, because that's going to happen pretty much right away as soon as we hit the state.
Exactly.
That makes sense. We don't have to wait for some like user input or anything. Okay. No. So if I do this, then when there is a fetch, now we have the user's state, and we need to check their checking family status, I guess, is kind of more or less what's happening. So I'm starting to think in terms of, what we're doing next. And so,
nice.
By the way, is the way I'm organizing this just really bugging you? I want to know how you do this.
Looks great. Really.
Okay.
Really.
We
might get into trouble later, like when we have like error handling or something like that. But we can just always reorganize. We've got snapping. Yeah, it's looking great.
Yeah. Okay. So there would be an invocation. I'm starting to learn here. There'd be an invocation of fetch from. Actually, no, there is no fetch in this case. We're just simply checking something we already have.
Okay.
So we don't really, this isn't like an async thing. This is just, we look at the family IDs.
Got you. So we have fetched the family IDs, right?
Yep.
We can assume that the family IDs are stored somewhere.
Yeah.
So what that means is that we kind of need like an if else here, right?
Okay.
Which is where you need to check something to do with the family IDs,
right?
And do something or go somewhere based on that information,
right?
So what we would call this in XState is a guard. So
Okay.
what we're looking for is when that fetch is done,
Yeah.
we need to check something based on the information that's been returned.
Okay.
So if you click on the done event, just above that,
Yeah.
Where is it?
Add guard. Yep.
Add guard. There we go. And you'll notice it changes to an if-else statement.
Okay.
So you can add multiple guards here. And what we're basically checking is, could you explain the logic to me again?
I'm sorry, say again.
Could you explain the logic to me again?
So if there are no family IDs, go to creating a family. If no family IDs, then I guess there'd be an action, right?
Yep. Well, if there's no family IDs, we probably want to go to the creating a new family state.
Yes, correct. So we're actually doing that. We're branching in the event now. And so
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So if I were to, let's see, there's no handles here. What do I do? Do I hit a plus?
Yeah, you can hit a plus and then add another guard.
Oh, that's an else. Okay. How would I say how would I make this go to the create family?
You can, if you click on the else again, this is so hard, not seeing it live.
Okay.
There should be a little handle on the arrow that's actually going to the state. And in fact, you may want to create a new state where it's going first.
Okay,
so,
let's do that.
Yeah, you can
just
double click.
Yeah,
double click in the black box.
So this is going to be asking the user for a family name.
Oh, okay. So this is actual state where they're waiting for.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So if no family, then I need to be able to, and I don't know. Did that work? I feel like that worked.
Yeah, what you want to do is you want to be able to basically, yeah, there we go. So if you click out the if else thing and sort of drag it over to the left, maybe the arrows might sort of work themselves out a bit better.
Sorry, yeah, okay. So move this. I'm going to move these out a little bigger here.
Yeah. Or if you move both states to the right, maybe they'll.
I've got these in the wrong order here. So this one needs to go here, and this one needs to go here.
Yeah, that's looking nice.
Okay, so yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Cool.
So asking the user for a family name is a new state, which is where we are right now, by the way. In the
nice.
Yeah. Or join code.
Oh, or a join code. Okay.
Yeah. So
is that I can't quite see the UI there. Is that like a tabbed view where they can either submit a join code or a thingy?
For right now, I just have a link that just pops up a little confirm or a little prompt here.
Cool.
But eventually I'll have it where you could have, I'll improve the UI here. But right now it's just basically two different text boxes with a go button.
Got you. So we're now on like a choose your own adventure, right? Mm-hmm. So we can either choose one path or another. Which one do you want to do first?
Good question. Probably the checking family status where we do have family IDs, I think.
Okay,
maybe.
Cool.
We'll try it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. So actually there would be an invocation here. Does Command Z work? It does work. That's cool. So invocation, we need to fetch from family's family ID. So there will be a family ID here that we're fetching, and we need to. So we're checking all of the family IDs, like. Every family ID, we need to check this. I don't know how like detailed you want to get here. Like we're fetching any family ID. Really right now, all we're doing is fetching the first. Let's just say fetch the first. Let's just do that. That's what's in there right now. Yeah.
So you're thinking like you would iterate over the family IDs and check that each one exists?
Yeah, that's kind of the idea, because then you could show them if they exist. Yeah. And if not, you remove them from the user. Like this doesn't exist anymore, so you should just not even look at it.
We can get to that later, because that's a really interesting question, like how you handle for loops in this sort of system.
Yeah, totally. For now,
Yeah.
all that it really does right now is look at your first family ID. There's no way to go to your second family yet. I haven't built that. So
Cool.
If you have a family, then it checks the family status. Then I would assume that we have a success here, meaning we got a family. So now we have a family loaded.
Cool.
Family is loaded. So let's see. Trying to think. I think we're at login state then here, like success logged in.
Nice.
So actually, I'll just say main navigator tab.
Okay, cool.
Navigator.
And we're in.
Let's see here if we have the family. Oh, nope, there is one more thing. Get
member, isn't it?
Member. Thank you. Family member. Because the reason that there is a family member as opposed to just a user is that you might have specific settings just for that family. You know, you might have a certain avatar for that family. You might have a different display name for that family. Your member is you within that family.
Cool.
Users, family member. Okay, so that's that. And then we can, from there, once we have that, then we're logged in. So,
cool.
Now, interestingly, it didn't give me a done. Oh, because I don't have an invocation. I need a invocation here. So I'm going to hit plus there. So fetch from families, family ID. I like how it kind of like suggests. That's cool. Members, and then a UID. So I realize I'm being kind of like codey there, but it just kind of gives my brain the right thing at the right time there.
Okay.
Logged. Let's see here. Main tab bar UI. All right. So we're just going to say main tab bar UI is the end state for the happy path here. And we are good. We have the member, we have the user, everything's good.
Nice. So, what we could start doing is because this is all very abstract, right?
Yeah.
We could take this and we could put it inside our code and we can see how this all connects.
Okay.
Because we've definitely got enough meat on the bone now where we can get to our states and we can start figuring it out.
So
if you imagine too, like,
should I be saving this?
Yeah, totally. You can save it. You can save it and actually we can just share the link with people. So
that's cool. So and it'll be read only, I assume?
It'll be read only, yeah. People can still play with it and like mess about with the states and stuff and even add stuff, but it won't save.
Okay, so sorry.
If you want to, you can.
Is it just the link at the top here, or?
It is. If you go into, there's like a little caret menu or a little drop down menu in the top right.
Share.
The one that isn't your name. Yeah. The share button.
Okay. I'm gonna drop that into Twitch and YouTube. So we have that, and you can go take a look at it and play with it there. Awesome. That's very awesome.
And also you can even fork it and offer suggestions, send the link back to us. We're hopefully going to build like live collaboration on it too. So you can share a link and
so you could actually be in here, Matt, and like fixing all of my screw ups.
Totally. Yeah. Just like live chat, like
exactly.
Both ways.
I love it.
So why don't we bring out the big guns? Because there's something really cool that we've built that goes along with this.
Yeah.
You're using VS Code, right?
I am.
Which means that you can download our VS Code extension.
Oh boy.
It's called Stately or XState VS Code or something.
Is it this top one here? Oh yeah, it's by Stately. Cool.
Yeah, there it is. So this was something that I worked on, something that our team worked on.
Nice.
It's really pretty cool. And we're also probably going to need to download XState for this project.
Okay.
So why don't we install XState and XState React with yarn or npm or whatever you're using.
Okay, so I'm going to create a new terminal here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go yarn add XState. You said I am using React Native here, but XState. So
it'll be at XState /React.
Okay.
And XState as well. Sorry. So there is
just
the
XState
main core
as
library.
well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, question though. I am using some other ways to lay this out in terms of, well, I'll add it here just, but then I want to show you kind of what's happening in my app navigator here. So I'm using MobX React Lite, and it makes this this component an observer. And so when I'm setting various things, it is I'm in the wrong one there. It is checking the status and then showing different screens based on that. Would it be best to replace this with XState React in this case?
I think so.
Okay.
What's probably going to happen here is so this is going to be fun for me too, because I'm not very experienced with MobX.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going to assume that like this auth status thing, for instance, stored auth status, XState is going to be, we can choose kind of who owns the state, but I think it's going to be most useful for XState to control it and orchestrate it.
Okay.
XState is pretty good for like orchestrating other things, you know, and like saying MobX do this and React do this and that kind of thing. So it can sit as a layer between. But I think it's going to be most useful for it to just own that bit of state.
Okay. Yeah, totally. We can do that.
So why don't we treat them as kind of like separate for now, and we can like build XState on its own first, and then see what bits of MobX we need to replace with it.
Perfect.
Cool. So what we're going to
do have it copied.
Okay, nice. I'm going to go into here and create a new machine.
Okay.
So it's not going to be in navigators. I'm going to put it inside app auth, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll say auth machine.ts. So in there, you may need to follow along with me. I'm going to go const machine equals create machine. And the JSON that you've got there, could you paste it into that first thing? Thank you. I'll just import from XState, create machine. So here, this machine, and I'll call this authflow machine. Okay. Nice, you've got prettier as well. And I'll just export that. And you should have a couple of little code above the create machine call. It might be there.
That's not what I'm looking for there. I'm not seeing that.
I'm not seeing that. Okay.
Oh, wait. There it is. Yep, it just showed up. So open Visual Editor.
Yeah. So what's going to happen now is the visual editor.
It opened in the wrong. Hold on.
Yeah, it's going to ask you to sign in first. So ask you to sign into Stately, and then a wonderful thing.
I am. So sign into VS Code. Open. Nice. That's pretty sick.
So that should just work.
Yep,
and
there it is.
Can you see what I'm imagining you're seeing?
Yes, I think I am. Yep.
Nice. So what's going to happen there is it's going to be laid out really horribly. So like everything's going to be on top of each other. This auto layout is something that like there's an open RFC in the middle that we're in the middle of right now.
Okay.
But if you make changes here and like sort of let's just clean it all up, lay it out nicely.
Okay, sure. Undo. So, okay, I accidentally clicked X on that, and it actually edited the code. I saw it do that.
Yes.
That's insane. That is so cool.
So what we have here is a visual editor for code.
Right.
So this is transmitting over to the code on the left-hand side, and this is the full link, right? So the kind of edit in the web and then kind of pull it down locally, that's kind of like the meh version.
Right.
This is what we really want to build, you know.
So you're doing it. You're doing it right there. The code is definitely being synchronized with what I'm doing here. Sorry, yeah, I'm cleaning up, but this is blowing my mind at the same time.
And the really cool thing is it works both ways.
Right.
So you can actually add things to the left-hand side, and they'll show up in the visual editor.
Really? So
let's say
that this family. All right, let's see here. Yeah, go ahead. Let me know.
Let's imagine that. So if you find where the guards are, there should be like a cond or something.
Let's see here. It's yeah.
What's it called? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, right here.
Let's imagine. Yeah, let's imagine you should be able to find it in the left-hand side, and you can just rename the cond, for instance.
Okay. So,
So just call it something different and it will change in the right-hand panel. Or you can even like edit the description or something and it will change.
And let me make sure. Yep.
And
when I saved it, it changed it right here. How do I zoom in?
You should be able to command scroll or something.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Should go.
It's a little. I'm using a trackpad, so I'm. But
okay.
yeah.
We don't have pinch yet. We haven't done pinch yet, but we will.
Yeah. Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. It works when I hold command. It's just a little finicky. It's a little fast.
Got you.
Okay.
Cool. So now we can start adding more things to the auth flow, or we can start focusing on the code. Actually, I think maybe focusing on the code might be the coolest thing.
Okay, sure. Yeah, let's do it.
So let's. I want to show one more cool thing as well, which is XState's
by
TypeScript.
The way, it looks like it puts a comment with the XState layout, which means that my assumption is if you clone this down on a new machine and then look at it, you'll have the same layout in that new machine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Makes sense. Now,
or even if you close this, then the layout will be the same.
Actually, I was going to have an irrelevant question. Let's move on. Okay. This is cool.
Okay. We're going to do one more thing here, which is you're using TypeScript, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. XState's TypeScript experience has traditionally not been very nice. So we have really looked to improve it recently.
Yeah.
And the way that we've improved it is with something called type gen or type generation.
Okay.
And it allows lots of things in XState to be type complete, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So if you add a attribute inside this machine, kind of along just below the ID, for instance, and just say TS types is the attribute. Or in fact,
so TS?
Or in fact, I'll just
grab
go ahead. Control. There we go. TS.
Oh, I see. Just directly there. Okay. Yeah.
Just directly there. And I've saved that file, and it's added now a file called typegen. Just when I saved the file, it just went bloop and added a new file right next to it.
Okay.
And this doesn't need to mean anything at the moment, but as we go through, we're going to see some extraordinary typing stuff happening. So what we can do now is you think about all of those like invocations that we added. You can see like invoke, source, sign in with Google. We can now start implementing those and start adding. They're called options in XState, and you can start implementing them as you go.
Okay.
So why don't we put this in our app navigator?
Okay, sounds good.
And we can start using the machine.
Okay, cool. Now, do I disable my flow then?
Let's see.
We certainly can. Like this use auth flow thing. Let me actually just go here. Yeah, this is all of my stuff. So I do feel like we need to probably just not use this. We can bring this in instead. And
you know what? No, this is cool. We can actually use XState inside this hook.
Oh, perfect.
That might be the coolest thing to do.
Okay, awesome. Okay, that sounds good. So and Google Auth is I've got a few things going on in here, but I guess the most important part is we do have this here, which is the use ID token auth request. And it gives us a request, a response. Prompt async is the thing to kick off the flow. And then we get this back too. So we can modify this to adapt to the machine, I guess.
Cool. That sounds good. What I'll do then is, so use Google Auth is the thing that we need. Okay, so I'll venture inside here. I'm going to add it just below this, I think. I'm going to say const.
Let's see. I need to actually follow you, I think. Let me go back to my button here. And, okay, I'm there.
I'm going to say const state send equals use machine.
All right.
And I'm going to import from XState.
You probably don't get like the command whatever to import, do you?
I know, I'm on my own here.
Yeah.
Hanging out here.
You can ask me to do it. I'm totally happy to import stuff as you need.
Jamon, could you auto import?
I will. Command dot and no. What? No, that did the wrong thing.
Oh no.
what's the? I think it's called auth flow machine. So
yeah, that's it. There it is.
What's it complaining about?
It is complaining because we haven't passed in the options that we defined in the machine.
Okay. All right.
So what we've actually got to do is we can now pass in, if you autocomplete just where my cursor is,
yeah,
you should be able to see that it's asking us to pass some services.
Okay, sure.
So if you add that key and then it's
Yep.
an object,
Yep.
and then inside the object, you should be able to autocomplete and see the different services that it requires.
I see. So it's let's see here. Whoops. Let me do this again. It has like that.
Mm-hmm.
It has. Whoops. It's not gonna.
Yeah,
I think I'll just do something like.
I'll dummy out the function for you.
And then do that, and then. So it 100% like knew all of the things I had already signed in with Google. Holy cow, that was cool. Okay.
So cool, right?
That is super cool.
That's the type gen working for us. And for now, I'm just going to return as any of this.
Okay. Yep.
Just to make it happy.
I approve.
There you go. I'm the TypeScript icon, so
yeah, of course,
everywhere I like. And so now we need a second attribute, which is called guards.
Yeah.
So these are the guards that we've added.
Okay. So oops, my bad. So if I go here, it's asking for guards, and then in here it has that, and then it tried to autocomplete context, or maybe it's Google or GitHub. Sorry, GitHub.
Yeah, Copilot.
Copilot.
You're going to see actually Copilot is absolutely monstrous with this flow. It's so good because you're giving everything like really descriptive names. It really knows what you're thinking about.
So okay, so family IDs dot length 0. So something like that would probably be, or it actually would probably be like, it's actually, I need to go. It's possible that it doesn't grab the family IDs. Okay, so this is what Copilot tried to do.
Cool.
Also, it's asking for a type here. I know that I'm going to be getting back a user. So
this is tricky because so we should talk about what context is.
Okay. Yeah.
Because context is kind of like, if you think about like, context is basically like a data store at the root of your machine.
Oh.
So if we go back to auth machine,
yes,
inside here we can add a context.
And where this is like your like root state here. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. So let me try to anticipate what you're about to say. Might have a Google user, right? I don't know if you do null or undefined here. You'd have a user, and I'm sure we're going to do something with these. You're going to have a family, and you're going to have a member. This corresponds pretty well with what I have. As well. There might be some other things too, but this is what we diagrammed. So yeah, makes sense.
That's really good.
Okay.
So we're now going to we need to give the services that we've declared a kind of type, because we need to declare kind of what those services return.
Okay. Yep.
So I'm going to add inside schema here. This is an attribute where you can pass in services. And we're going to pass it services as an empty object as. Okay. Now we can start passing in the names of our services. So when we get the user from Firestore, so it's like fetch from user's ID here. I'm going to add this there. We return data. And what type is that data? Imagine it's a promise. What would the promise return?
I have the helper function already. It will return a user, capital U user, which we can grab from, and I will import that from types.
I think I just got the autocomplete. Yay!
You did, nice, awesome.
Yeah. So it's returning user as a data.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we can begin with that actually. Fetch from user's UID. So the way that context works is you can assign to it from within the machine only. So it's internal to the machine. Yeah. So that means, and the way you do it is through something called actions. Okay. So you stumbled upon actions earlier. Yeah. And actions are XState's way of performing kind of like sync logic, like updating context, for instance, is a perfect example. So what's the moment at which we have information where we can like assign it to context? Like when do we get the user?
Um, so, sorry, I lost the track there.
Yeah, it's a confusing question.
Yes,
it's kind of when the service fetch from users UID is done.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, when we get a return back. Yep.
When it's that on done bit here.
Oh, on done.
So,
okay.
Exactly.
So there would be an action here.
Done, there would be an action there. So we can add actions.
Okay. And is that a new thing inside of here? Whoops.
It's actually going to be, so this is kind of like our if-else logic.
Oh, yeah. If we found it.
Yeah.
So we need a new condition, or is this the else here?
So yeah, that's the else there.
Okay.
So I guess, yeah, because if we only need to assign it to the context if it was valid, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we can actually assign it inside there. So we can say actions
Yep.
is going to be set user to context. Let's go set user to context.
Okay.
And now inside.
Actually, why does it say didn't find it family IDs here? This is interesting because this should actually happen regardless of which branch.
Okay. Yeah. So what we can do is we can actually just add it to both.
Oh, okay. Okay, that works. Yep.
Okay. So now our use Google auth, we're now going to add another action down here.
Okay.
So actions. Set user to context, and we can see that we can import a sign from XState. Probably no, import a sign from XState.
Okay.
And what's going to happen here is that we have context, so we have the initial context here, and then we also have the most recent event that occurred.
Right.
So this event, if you hover over it, and you'll get the autocomplete. You should see that it's like a long sort of event to do with the state. And then on data...
It's like a path, basically, of what is happening here. Yeah, okay. Yep.
But on the data, we have the user.
Right. So the context dot user equals event dot user. Is that right?
Yeah. Or in this case, we do it immutably. So it's going to be like user is event.data.
And it'll merge this with your current context. Okay. Cool.
Pass a partial. Yeah.
Yep. Perfect.
So cool.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
So we should probably add some other assigns, like for different bits.
Right. Yeah.
Because we're going to need to assign different things to different places and stuff.
Right. So so when we have let's see here. So when we're fetching the family, we do need to assign that as well. So if I find this and we have the on done, I have an actions.
Yep. Actions. Yep.
And then I say set family to context, and then I grab this and I go back to my actions here. Let's see.
Should be auto completing already.
Yep. Yeah. And it already, like, GitHub Copilot does that for us. Cool. So
that's so nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And I assume context is there so that you can maybe have some conditionals in there or do something, if you need to derive that data.
Yeah, or incrementing, for instance. So
sure.
context.count plus one.
Yeah. Good call. Okay, so that's definitely one there. Let's see. I did families. I got users. I'm going to need the member as well. That's pretty straightforward. Go back here. Can just find that. On done, we again have an actions. And this one's going to be set member to context, I guess.
Yeah, that looks good.
And I need to create it. So there's an action. Let's drop that in, autocomplete everything. And then this time, member, return member.
Yeah, looks good. Simon
says, I would be doing this in the visual editor, not the actual assign implementations, but naming them. Yeah, that's fair.
Fair. Yeah. And these are viewable in the visual editor as well. So when we reopen this, we'll see all of our actions in there.
That's so cool. And by the way, this, like, TypeScript would tell us if we're missing something. Like if I cut this, it's now telling me, hey, you're missing one. You're missing a key here. That's what's really cool. Cause like, yeah, you can go over here and edit stuff, but how do you know that you're actually providing what you need to provide? And
exactly. And that you haven't typoed any bit of it
right.
or
Yeah.
anything like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's
totally.
all perfectly type safe.
Cause like something like this, I might look at it and be like, that's kind of messy. Like, can we give it a more friendly name? And then I change it in the state machine, but it needs to change here as well.
Exactly.
Cool. Very, very cool. So, but those are pretty straightforward, but we also have, there is actually one more we need to do. And it's not actually described in the state machine. So
I'm
going to jump back to the state machine. Oh, it's open visual editor there. Close that. Let's see if I can get it to, let's see if I can fix this. How you doing on time, Matt? We're about an hour and a half into it. I'm
good. I'm gonna do a little bathroom break, but
okay. Well, you know what? I usually like to do that around 90 minutes anyway. So let's pause right here. This is actually a perfect time to pause. Let's do that, and then we'll come back in 5-10 minutes, somewhere in that range, and we'll get cracking again.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Cheers all.
We are not. Sorry. My bad. I'm so terrible at this. This is the worst. Yeah. Just mute from your end. I think I'm having trouble here. I need to create a new scene is what I need to do for just hanging out. But I will be back. If someone asks when they come into chat, let them know, because I'm terrible at this. Okay, I am back. The chair will handle things, Freak says. We stay here. No one leave. Okay, Roshan is making sure nobody's going to leave here. All right, I'm coming back. Matt is back. Let's see if it reloads here. Maybe it's not going to load.
Dun, 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 dun.
There it is. There's Matt. Perfect.
Go.
Okay. Well, I'm excited about this so far, Matt. This is like blowing my mind. I can already start to think about how I'm going to use this for some of the other states that don't exist in my app yet. So very cool.
Great. So what did we get to? We were plugging in the services and plugging in the actions.
We were, and there was one more. The action, kind of in this area here. So when we've signed in with Google, we need to assign it. So actions, and then set Google user to context, I guess, is what we're looking for here. Come back to, no, not there, to here. And actions is already telling me that something's missing. Drop that in. Done. Just like that. So now we have the Google user, we have the member, we have the family, we have the user. These are actually all 4 things that we need in order to be fully logged in and looking at our screen.
Amazing. That is really cool. So the one that's catching me out is the guard, right? This didn't find family IDs.
Yeah.
Because I can see the context there, like, I guess user.family IDs, it's sort of, there is something there. What? So I'm thinking about the process there because there's like a little gotcha here, which is if you look at where we've declared that guard in the auth machine, you'll notice that it's sort of like conditionally checking if, let's see, where are we on the auth machine? So I'll see if I can follow you. Or in fact, you follow me.
Yeah.
It was didn't find family IDs.
Right.
So the way this if-else logic works is it checks first if it didn't find any family IDs, and then it sets the user to context. So what that means is it's actually going to check the event, not the context.
So we would need to, can we capture the event here?
We can indeed, yeah.
So
if you go to, it's going to be event.data. Or maybe just event.data.family IDs.
I think you're right. Now, is this really what we want, though? Because in both cases, we're still setting the user to the context.
Yeah. So whatever we do, we're going to set the user to the context, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So we need to make a little refactor there because it feels like we're sort of duplicating some work.
We are, because there's an action there and there's an action there. Now, one thing that is nice is it's just one action. You can just call it and say, okay, do this thing, but still. Yeah.
Exactly. But there's a nice pattern we can show off here, which is where we can use something called a transient node or a choice node, is it's often called.
Okay.
And the way we do that is it's like a really nice pattern in state machines in general and the state charts. And if you create a new node here, just in the visual editor.
Okay, just a random new node. Okay.
Random new node, and it can be checking if has family IDs, for instance.
Sorry, it's a little finicky in terms of. Okay, sorry. What did you say?
We can call it checking if has family IDs or something.
Okay.
Because in this node, we're going to perform a synchronous check, and then we're going to immediately leave the node.
Right. Yes, that's kind of what I was thinking. Is that's what where we were. Okay, that makes sense.
Exactly.
So
instead of this if else here, we're actually going to we can do some fun stuff here. We can let's actually retarget the let's retarget the done onto the so if you click that done.
Yep.
And then change the first if arrow to be pointing at the new check state.
So this?
I assume yes. I have no idea what you're seeing.
Did that follow?
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah.
Okay.
So here now, now we can actually remove the guard because we don't need it anymore. So you can just click it and press delete.
And put the checking if has family IDs is the next state, essentially. Okay.
Mhm.
And then from there, now we're adding a guard here.
Yeah, what we can do here is we can use a special type of event called an always event.
Okay.
And an always event, if you just click, you can actually click one of the handles and drag where you want to go if we do have family IDs.
Okay. Then check the family status. Okay. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So you should have an event there now. And what you can do is you can right click the event and you can say choose event type, and there should be an always on there.
Always. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So what this means now is this event is a special type of event that the user doesn't need to send. It's not external. It just happens immediately, always. And we can add a guard to this.
Has family IDs. Then that needs to go to here. And then if it does not, just, I guess I should probably name it.
We go to the other spot, don't we? Yeah, we say else.
I don't know if you. No, that's an else if. So I don't want that.
Okay.
Whoops. It's not letting me copy that. Okay, so there's an else, and that one goes to here. And let's see if I can drag these into a semblance of order here. So if has family IDs, go there. If does not, then we have to go there. It
looks like it went the wrong way around.
Did I go the wrong way?
Did it? Oh, no.
I think we're good. I think we're good.
Yep.
Has family IDs or else does not, then we ask the user for the family name or join code. Okay, there we go.
Very nice. So you can check this out by simulating this and make sure it works as well.
Right. True.
Yeah.
So if I hit simulate, come back to the beginning, we click the login button. We're signed in with Google. We've fetched and we've gotten a user already. In this case, we're checking if as, so we're there. Now I need to choose an if or an else. So if we have a family ID, it goes to checking the family status and then, onward from there. Okay. I like that.
Yep. Super cool. And you can always reset as well and go back to the states and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Okay.
So cool.
So
now you notice our action is only in one place now, which is on that on done. We don't need to specify it in both. So we know by the time we get to that checking state, we've got our user in the right spot.
Yes.
And we now just need to implement the guard. And in fact, we've implemented the guard. We can just point it at context because we know that context has its correct value by the time we get
there. Where did that guard go? Sorry.
I think we've renamed it, didn't we? Or it might be on like an always event or something.
Right here. Okay. It's at the bottom.
Yeah, there it is.
So it dropped in right there. Checking if has. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to close that. And I'm going to close that for now. We'll come back to that just so I don't. So find family IDs is not the name of it anymore.
We called it something else.
I think we did. What did we call it? We switched it. Has family IDs. So now in this case, we're going to say is greater than 0. Event.data. Now we can actually go back to the context and go user family IDs. Now that makes sense. Like now that's like, okay, that's what we expect it to be.
Yeah, that's a really common pattern. Like the choice node pattern is you just go somewhere and immediately check. And it's like, yeah.
And we could use that has family IDs in other contexts, in other places in the state machine as well, where we could just say, I need to know again, does it have a family ID? Yeah.
All of these are reusable. All of these named actions, named guards, etc. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we should probably start hooking this up and start doing something.
Something with it.
Yeah.
So
we've been all in this sort of very high level area.
Right. Yeah. So we have the auth flow. Okay. So we have the auth machine. Where did we create that machine, by the way? We created it somewhere. Or did we not?
Oh, the auth. Oh yeah, didn't we say? Is it in use Google auth? Or sorry,
is it in use Google? Okay, yeah, Google auth. Yeah, that is actually where it is. Use Google auth now is using the machine. It has it entirely in here. Cool. All right.
So
now
we can
probably wouldn't put it in this one here, would I? I don't know. Maybe I would. That's a good question.
Yeah, sort of where it sits in the stack is an interesting question.
Where I would think to put it, I'm gonna cut it for now. Don't worry, it's saved to my clipboard. I have a clipboard app. So where I would think I would put it is in my use auth flow. And maybe I'm wrong, but let's try it. And if I'm wrong, then we'll fix it. But auth flow machine. Can grab that as well. Sorry. You got assign. Perfect. So, okay. So I think that this makes a little more sense to me. And let's see, show Google log. So we can grab these things from use Google auth. And I'm looking to see. None of this stuff will matter. This is a service right here, more or less. So none of this stuff this doesn't hook into my flow at all. I use it elsewhere. So I think this is the right place for it. I could be wrong, but I think it is.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. So could you talk to me a little bit about what these like on login, on logout things are doing, or like?
Yeah, right now this is using my auth flow, this login with Google user, which goes and does a bunch of stuff with MobX. We can avoid that entirely. And on login instead can send an action or invoke an action, or I don't know what you would call it, on the machine. You can invoke a state change on the machine.
Yep. What we would call it is sending an event.
So
we need to actually send the event to the thing.
Yeah.
And in our state chart, this is going to be like, I don't know, send, basically that send function, we can now just send a string actually. And I can't remember what we called it. And in fact, we haven't quite made it type safe yet.
Yeah.
So
okay.
We could quickly go into that first.
Yeah, let's go do that.
Auth machine. It is on clicked login button.
Okay.
So the way you do that is you can go into events inside schema.
Okay.
And specify it as type click login button.
To explain to me what's happening here.
So XState is complicated in terms of TypeScript. What we're saying, schema. I completely missed the whole as thing here. Sorry, go ahead. But I'm getting it now. It's cool, right? We're basically passing it into XState in a kind of like a little sort of back alley way, which is where we're saying this thing that we're passing you is this type. Trust us, because we've cast it to this type. And it means that we can do all sorts of inference inside XState that wouldn't be possible if you passed it like via this, for instance. So
right.
User, for instance, or something.
Correct.
So it's just a little sort of interesting way that we found that
little TypeScript hack there. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
And now that means that when we send here, we should get clicked login button. No, that's not right though. This is not. So on login is afterward. Click login button happens elsewhere, and so we need to actually think about how that works, because we have our welcome screen, for example. And
on press show Google login browser or something.
Exactly. Yeah. Where did I miss that? That's right here.
Line 24.
On press. Yeah. So this needs to be kicked off. Now, how would I guess we have Google auth here, but what we can do instead is, how do we get this down to this level? Because this is a little bit further down the stack.
Yeah. So what we need to do is it seems like use Google Auth is kind of like a global thing, or like a
pretty much.
Yeah. So you can use it in multiple places, but it's kind of I'm picturing it like a React context thing.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what we would need to do here is we need like a context provider or something.
Or since we're in, you're right, that would actually be better. But I'm going to do a worse thing.
Cool. So you're talking about prop drilling, right?
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do prop drilling because it's right here.
Let's drill that baby down. Yeah. Let's do it.
So, whoops. Yeah. Thank you. show Google login browser is coming from use auth flow. And then we have our welcome screen component. Actually, that's not going to help us, is it? Can we initial params? What is it that we get from?
What version of React Navigation is this? Is this?
I don't know, actually.
I haven't used
How
it
do
in a
we
while.
pass that through? Okay. We can do a context. I'm not a huge fan of context, but
yeah, okay. There is actually a cool way that we could do this, which is different to context, which would let us handle this.
Yeah.
So what we can do is use auth flow. I'm just going to have a look inside here. We can actually, instead of using use machine inside React, we can actually export a singleton of our running machine, and we can just hook into it from inside React components. So the way that we would do that is we would grab interpret from XState, and you can say const.
I like where you're going with this. This is good.
Yeah, auth flow actor. Is the sort of convention. Is interpret auth flow machine,
and we grab that whole machine, right?
Yep, exactly. We can actually pass in with config, and put in all our options. So all these services, actions, guards.
Yep.
Go and grab all this. Stick all that in there. I'm going to remove that.
Yeah.
And now, auth flow actor, we need to start it as well. So I'll just press start here. Now, instead of calling use machine, we can actually go use actor. So we can say const state send equals use actor. And that actor is going to be the actor that we had above. So where is it? Cannot find name use actor.
It's I think I'm missing something's happening here. Let's see.
Is it not I'm fun?
Where there's a problem with our.
Just check with config.
That looks right.
That looks right, doesn't it? Comma expected. Maybe there's like an extra thing there that shouldn't be there.
I tried that. Still complained. What are we missing here? Missing an E in state on line 56.
I think it was this. It was, yeah, I got it. It was missing a parenthesis from the last assign.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. And then use actor is coming in from, I screwed you up. Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Interesting. So this is a singleton. We're bringing in this auth flow actor. And then you have state and send. Now, so you could use this actor elsewhere in other components and hooks. And it will just use the same kind of like, because we're only going to have one auth flow actor. We don't need more than one. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So this one is now kind of like the auth flow actor just sits there in the module.
Right. And
this is the way that you hook into it.
Fantastic. I love that. We still need to get that over to where it needs to go. In fact, actually, I have let's see here. So, okay. I don't know why use auth flow right now does not return anything. In our main family, we need to be able to kick off our welcome screen. We need to be able to use that actor. Do we export it?
Yeah, we can export it, or we can just call use auth flow, I guess, right? Because if we return some stuff, yeah, we can reuse this hook as many times as we like.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so all we then have to do is in the hook, we could return. We want to do it right now, but we could return.
We could return send if we want to.
Yeah, that's exactly, yeah. So now in welcome screen, instead of this, we can just have a send. So it doesn't need to know about how or what's going on. All it needs to do is say send. And in this case, I'm not getting I'm not getting. Oh,
wasn't
use auth flow
imported.
needs to be implemented or imported, and then now we should get click login button. Beautiful. That is beautiful.
It's so nice, so descriptive. The code.
It's very descriptive. Yeah, it just like look at that. Like on press, click login button, you're done. Like it's just a magic string there, which I love magic strings. Everybody hates them, but I love them. And that's all. Yeah, we're just dropping that send out there. So hey, anybody who wants to send me messages, just here it is. You know.
Totally. Okay, so then on login, what does this do?
On login is essentially a callback. So when this happens, when we logged in and we get a Google user back, because I don't control the login flow there, this is a callback to that. So Google user has we were provided now we've received the Google user. We need to, in this case, in my opinion, send and set Google user to context, and then we need to provide the Google user we just got.
Well, this is going to be tricky because we've sort of modeled this in slightly the wrong way, which is like what it looks like here is that if we look at our auth machine, what we've said inside Google Auth service, is it Google Auth? No, not Google Auth service. Yeah, on Google Auth service. Yeah, we're saying we're
Thanks,
invoking.
Simon, by the way. Sorry.
Sign in with see you, Simon.
Yeah.
We're invoking the sign in with Google service.
Right.
So we're sort of delegating that to the state machine. But what it seems like here is we can just receive an event from outside the state machine that will just like say, okay, we have the Google user.
Okay. So that's not what we need to do is like say we're done somehow.
Yeah. What I would say we can do is we can just remove this. And why don't we visually edit this actually?
Okay, sure.
Visual editor. There's also a command palette thing. If your cursor's inside the machine, then you can open Visual Editor from there.
Oops, Visual. There it is. Nice. Okay.
So then what we can do is we can just say, we can create a new event coming from Google Auth service, just going to getting user from Firestore. And we can call that event user received from Google. So we're on the Google Auth service.
Did I?
Wherever that is.
Whoops.
Oh, because I commented out the invocation, it deleted itself.
How do I fix what I just did?
Sorry. Let's see.
That was legal. Yeah. Okay. So what do we do here? We just drag it over, or?
It looks like it's just in a funky state at the moment.
It is a little bit of a funky state. I don't know what I did.
Oh, there we go. So if you click and drag that over, will that do something? Oh dear.
Can I undo?
We might need to just close the window and reopen it again.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, I think I was messing with it, but okay. So click login button. Google Auth service is here. Okay, then what did you say? Drag this over here to the getting user from Firestore.
Yeah, and we can just create a new event there, basically.
Okay, and that event is
we received the user. So user received from Google.
Okay, got it. Cool.
So receive Google user. We're probably going to need to add an action as well, which is like actions set Google user, for instance.
Yes.
As well.
And then we need to make that action.
Yeah, we need to make that action.
No, we already have one for that, don't we?
Yeah, probably just like re-implement it based on what we have. And we also need to add the event type up here too. So this event type is going to be, what is it? Receive Google user.
Yeah.
Google user.
Okay. And you did that as a,
yeah, this is a union type.
Union type, yeah. Okay.
We now finally just need to add the user to user. Or it's a
Google user,
right?
Yeah. So this will be Google user will be. It's not Google user. What is it? What do I have?
Yeah. What type is it?
Let's go to my types. I forget. I think it is just. Oh, interestingly, I don't have. Google Auth comes back with, what does it come back with? Okay, so it's a little confusing, but it's actually a Firebase user is what it's called. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Okay. So we do have that now. Okay. So we received the Google user, and we need to set the Google user as an action. So now we need to create that action.
We can do that in use auth flow, I think.
Use auth flow. Yeah. There we go.
Yep.
So this is set Google user basically. Here is that. So now data, is it Google user? I guess it is. Yeah. Okay. So the event came in with Google user. Now we're returning it there. Okay. I could have called it data, and I probably should have. Hey, or does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter too much really.
Okay.
It's just an arbitrary attribute basically.
Okay. Cool. So we did set the Google user when that happens. All right. Makes sense.
So now inside our on login thing, we can send an event to the actor, and we can say we received the Google user.
So let's see. Are you somewhere, or am I?
So I'm. Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Okay, gotcha.
So here we can say type set Google user.
Okay.
Well, it's not set Google user actually. It's receive Google user.
Receive Google user, and then So so explain to me why this is better than what we had before.
Yeah, what we had before was we were basically saying we were going to control that promise from within XState. XState was going to own that promise, and you wouldn't have to care about it inside your app. But because we're talking to something external, here what it's doing is it's saying, okay, we delegate actually outside of the machine, and we say send it an event, and now it's here. So sometimes that pattern is more idiomatic and easier to use than just sort of controlling it from within.
Makes sense. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we're then simply waiting for received Google user, and then once that happens, then we can resume what we were doing.
Exactly.
We can then do all this stuff. Okay, cool. So obviously on log out is going to need to reset the state machine and stuff like that, but we can do all that stuff later.
Totally.
Okay. Cool. All right. We have the auth flow. We're returning send. We probably should return state as well so that we can in the app navigator.
Yeah, we're going to need to track some stuff. So if we return like, we may want to return like, let's return some Booleans here.
Okay.
It's kind of nice to just consume Booleans.
David will love that.
From the, he will love that. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, he loves derived Booleans. That's what he loves. David hates Booleans in states, but he loves Booleans derived from state machines.
True.
That's his favorite thing.
Yeah.
So we can say, let's say should show login button.
Okay.
That's pretty simple.
Okay.
And let's say should show login button is going to be state.matches, and that's a function. And so call that function with something. Right. And what you should see here is if we autocomplete this, there's going to be a bunch of options there.
Let's see. Showing login button. Maybe we should have named that differently, but whoops. Okay. In this case, that's fine. Yep. So
it makes sense, right? Because you're sort of deriving the like the Boolean from the state, the thing that's going on.
Right.
So it sort of makes sense that they're slightly different.
In this case, it might be better to say like logged out. I mean, that's a potential state that we're in, something like that. But if it matches logged out, we should show the login button. Yeah. Okay.
So now we can go to where this is used, and we can say, store.auth status equals initial. Otherwise, we need to use this.
So should show login button. So in this case, instead of where am I? I'm going to actually comment all this crap out.
Okay, cool.
And we're going to start over with should show login button, and then we will show the welcome screen right there. So, and actually, since I know that this is a Boolean, it's always going to be a Boolean. I'll just do this. Should show login button.
Believe and we can
that
also
will work. Does false cause problems? I don't remember. Sometimes false can.
No, it doesn't. It's strings that cause problems, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Empty strings.
React Native sometimes has some issues with weird stuff like that, but
Yep.
okay, we're at login screen, so it is showing that. Cool.
Cool.
By the way, it's
so
going
now
to
we
make
can
this
say,
look a lot better.
Yeah.
It's
What do you
gonna
mean,
make
like
it look a lot better. Yeah. All right.
Nice.
So so then we could also do something like should show. We'll come back to that.
We could say should show loading, for instance.
Yeah, should show loading. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Loading. In this case, we're going to have a couple of different loading states, but yeah.
Yes, we are. So there's a useful tool you can use for this.
Okay.
We can actually go into the machine itself.
Okay.
And we can add some tags to different states. And we can say we can tag a state as a loading state. So this isn't available in the visual editor, annoyingly. We haven't gotten to this yet.
Okay.
But if you go into like the actual states themselves,
yes,
then inside like the Google Auth service, for instance, I'll just add one here.
Okay. Yep.
We can say tags loading.
Ah. Oh. Interesting. Okay.
So getting user from Firestore, we're also loading as well.
Right.
Checking family status, we're loading. Asking user for family name or join code, we're not
loading
right?
because we're at a screen.
Exactly. So get user's family member, loading. Checking family IDs, loading. Main tab IUI, we're not loading.
Not loading.
Okay. So now we can go back into should show loading, and we can say instead of state.matches, state.hasTag.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. And it's auto-completed.
This is incredible.
That's relatively new, actually. We only came up with that like 6 months ago.
Well, that's super useful. It's like a. I mean, you're constantly in a situation. And loading is a perfect example of this.
Yeah, it means that your UI is separated from the structure of your state machine, which is important because otherwise you're going, you're checking if state.matches this, state.matches that.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense. In fact, if I click this, I wonder.
So I reckon we're going to have some action happening here.
That's interesting. Curious on that. I have some kind of like theories on this, but let's go back here and reload.
It could be a hot module reload thing.
You know what? I think it's because it expects to stay on the welcome screen until so if I come back here, so if I go back to my machine here and go back to where we're grabbing the Google, I don't want this one to be tagged with loading. I think.
Oh, okay.
I think because it wants to live on the same screen.
Okay, so it doesn't want to move yet. Right.
Now, so really this should still. So if we're at Google Auth service, this is actually a very good example of what you're talking about here. Let me go back to should show login button is really or state matches. How does it know that? How does it know that?
What the
Google Copilot?
Is it Google Copilot? Oh yeah, so good.
Why? Why does it know that?
It's so good with state machines. It's unreal because everything has a name, and Google Copilot is really good at semantic stuff. So
yeah. I'm going to call it welcome screen here, by the way. Just it fits my mental model a little bit better on that. But okay, so
we could do that, or we could use a tag if you like as well. But the or is perfectly fine.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good call. That's yeah. So login's not working here, but that's okay. Something's preventing it from kicking off. It could be hot module. No, something.
Well, what we could do is just work out what state we're in, right? Because now we've got a state machine in our code, we can actually just check and see what state we're in.
Right.
So a good way to do that is just say below all of this stuff, or above the return statement, we can say console log state.value.
Okay.
And so in the console, you'll get the latest state, basically.
So Google
what are you
Auth
seeing?
service. It's sorry, a little small there. So it's saying Google Auth service. So it is there.
Yeah.
The question is, why did it not kick off? Oh, maybe we haven't. Let's see here. Oh, sign in with Google there's nothing there.
Oh, interesting. Oh, this might be our service that we got rid of, actually, that we don't need anymore.
This one here?
Because
sign in with Google. Oh.
Yeah. Or what might be happening is that it might be sending the event at the wrong time. That could be possible too.
Let me go back to the welcome screen. Let's follow this through. So when we click that button, we say clicked login button. Then this, oh wait, no, that's in the machine. Then it says, so when we clicked login button, then it targets Google Auth service. And then, but I'm not seeing where it's actually kicking off the load the Google prompt async thing here.
Oh yeah, we need to do that. So that's what's missing.
Show Google login browser is what I called it. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what we can do, that's a
whoops, where am I?
Is that sync, right? It's like you just call it, you don't await it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Perfect. That is perfect for an entry action.
Okay.
So an entry action, what we can do is when we're inside Google Auth service.
Okay, let me find it.
What we can do.
Google Auth. Okay, right here. Yep.
Yeah, or in fact, that's coming from within a React closure, isn't it? Right? It's coming from in a hook. Yeah. So
yes.
Okay, so that's tricky because our app is outside the hook. Probably what we need to do instead is we can do if you go into use auth flow, in fact,
okay,
I'll drive for a moment.
Yeah, sure.
The simplest thing to do would be basically to say, show Google login browser.
Okay.
It's essentially just to go use effects. State.matches. Let's see. What was it? Google service.
Service. Yep. And would that be an
then
array?
We can say, oh yeah, it is an array. Yep. If state.matches Google service. What do you think we do here?
So in this case, the very first time that happens, we're going to need to show this. Nope. Hold on. Do we want to tell the... Do you do this in the machine? Do you send an event here, or do you just kick it off?
It kind of depends, right? Like we've got a choice between saying, like in this case, I think we would just kick it off.
Okay.
Because what we're sort of doing, it's kind of like a derived effect.
It is
from the machine state itself.
Right.
You know, we're saying when we're in this state, just fire off this event, and then what we're going to do is because of on login is here. It's going to report back.
It's really UI here that we're kicking off. That it's not really changing the state at all. It's just kicking off UI. I mean, I guess technically there's some implicit state there.
But it isn't owned by XState.
Right. This is unbelievable. I can't tell you how amazed I am by this. This is awesome. And also I'm very impressed by your knowledge of XState. Normally in something even that I'm working on, I'd be like, I don't know how to do that
yet. It's just, I don't know how many thousands of questions I've answered in the XState Discord. Like it's
that
just
helps.
In there now. Yeah, it does help. Okay.
So interestingly, we went to that state where this has popped up, and it went to asking user for family name or join code, which I don't think we want to do yet. So the state kind of got off track there.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. So it says, I can see the flow. It's kind of going from Google Auth service, And then you can see on auth state. Oh, on auth state change, that's something else. So it went to getting user from Firestore.
Right.
But we haven't implemented that yet.
True. But we don't we don't have the Google user either, right? So it skipped right past the Google Auth service and immediately went with the Google user. Oh, wait, no. We do have a Google user, I think. Right?
Yeah.
What am I thinking through here?
It's done its thing, right? So we can check this.
Because I never logged in, but I also never logged out. So maybe it just knows that already. Maybe it did receive the Google user. It sent that off, and it immediately went to the getting user from Firestore, which we haven't implemented yet. You're right. So so I think it did its job. It was me that was confused, not it. Okay.
We can check this out and make sure this is working by going in and instead of just console logging state.value, let's also console log state.context and see what's in the context.
Okay. I'm going to figure out where we did this because I'm getting like, there it is. Okay. In the use auth flow, there it is. Oh, yeah, you're already on it. Nice.
Zonk it in. There we go.
Yeah. So we get the context there. Okay, cool. So if I reload this, and then when I click this, but okay, so no, I am wrong here. When it says it wants to use google.com to sign in, oh, I know what's going on. So on login, is it possible that you could get an on login without a Google user? No, we're getting a user. So so I'm I guess the question I have here, I don't remember how it works, but it's possible that we're like remembering that this user is logged in, and when we click that button, it's like, yo, we're already logged in, kicks off that on login. We have that, but then it pops up that alert for some reason. So
it's maybe because in here we're not checking if like the user is initially logged in, right?
Right. We are not.
So we've not because probably what we should do is if the user is logged in, we should short circuit all of this and just go straight to the main UI flow. So
this actually takes care of use Google Auth takes care of that, I believe. Yeah. So if the user is not null, and we do get an on auth state changed log.
Oh, that's useful.
So we should get. Let me back up a little bit here. On auth state changed, and it actually does have a Google user. So we have so we are getting that, and that's so we have the Google Auth service object, so Google Auth service with an object. Everything's undefined. We get the auth state changed. Then it says getting user from Firestore, and then we get a this Google user is set now. So that does get set. Okay, good. And it's really our UI that's confused. So that's the problem. Is the is that our UI is confused right now.
Got you. So then how do we get the user from Firestore?
So I think what I need to do is put another, or we should be showing loading here, I guess, more or less. So if I go back to, thanks for the follow, Rui Boz. Sorry. If we go back to the use auth flow, I don't know why, but I'm having trouble following the stream here. So Google Auth service, we receive the Google user. The action that we're going to get is the set Google user. When that happens, and that is in here. No, sorry, it's in the use auth flow.
My theory is that the error that's occurring is because when we say inside use auth flow, we're trying to fetch from user's ID, and we've got this kind of like shim in here, which is like return this as any. So if so when that's returned, we call the set user to context, right? And what it's doing is we're actually like we're returning user, but event.data is just going to be an empty object. So my theory is if we go throw new error, we are here.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to see we are here in context or
Yep.
in the error flow.
Why is it working right now?
Is working?
Not really, but
yeah.
Okay, so we have everything undefined. If I click the button, it's already logged in. I think I don't know why this is kind of working. Like if I cancel.
Or if we just even console log.
Okay. We're in a state where we don't have screens in our navigator is the thing. So like
okay.
So in here, neither welcome screen and loading screen are not active. So there's something there's something missing. It's not showing up here. So with that said, sorry, you're console logging. We are here. And if I cancel, reload this, go back here, click, we should see we are here. Yep, we are here. So asking user for family name or join code is where we are. And we don't have anything set for that. So if I go back to our here, so we say const should show create family, basically state dot matches that. Thank you. And then I'll pass that through. I think this is what is going on. So grab that. I think the fact that this pops up is actually it's revealing a bug I had that was being masked by me just jumping to a different screen and squashing it.
Got you. Right.
And by the way, we'll reintroduce that bug, which will fix this.
It's kind of state charts are kind of like adopting TypeScript, which is you just notice all the bugs that
thanks a lot,
we'll kind of ignore. Sorry.
All right. Create
Blame
family.
David.
Yeah, right, exactly. Let me grab this, drop this in here, save that, reload. User.display name, but that's probably, user is coming through. We're not setting that anywhere. So if I want a user, I need to do it as, I need to get it from the auth flow here. So, so our state, so if I want to pass through the user, now, would you do it this way? Would you say user equals state dot, what was it? Sorry.
You could do state.context.user, or you could just pass down context if you like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just state.
Yeah, or I would probably say just return context, basically. So return.
Just call it as call it context.
That way, it's nice and clear.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, I guess because that's called state as well. So okay. So we'll get context here. And I could also const user equals context.user, or context there. Refresh this whole thing, and we'll probably get a different bug, but undefined not a. So user's not okay. So I had a little bit of a. So we need user before we can move to, the create. No, we don't. Why is it asking for user? Where is it you asking for user? Create family screen. Oh yeah, we do need the user. So user isn't set yet somehow.
Probably because we're not fetching it.
Probably.
So this user isn't the Google user, right?
Asking user for. So how did we get to this context without the user?
So I think what happened was we sort of just we've just blasted through the services without implementing them.
Right.
So we haven't fetched the user at all. We've basically just said we got all these async functions at the top.
Yeah.
Where we're basically just saying, okay, return this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We're not actually doing anything.
Yeah.
So we need to actually implement the services.
Okay, gotcha. Now, before we go there, we're at 12:30 my time. I don't want to take any more of your time. I know you're a very, very busy guy. You got a lot going on. My mind's been blown 45 times already. And awesome. I can see the direction this is going because you've helped me through so much of it. So I want to go ahead and wind down now. We're not all the way to the end of it, obviously. That's okay. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we've really gotten so far into this. And I can see the value already. What do you think? Are you cool with that?
Sounds great to me. Yeah. Yeah, it's been really cool just sort of talking these concepts through. It's interesting how it kind of like invades your mind after a while, and like you start thinking in terms of events and states and actions and services and guards and that sort of thing.
Right.
Once you get a handle on the primitives, then then using the visual side of it is crazy. Like, do you know Eric Rasmussen from Twitter?
Yeah.
He's using XState a lot in the app that he's building called Centered, which is a productivity app.
Right.
And he's really into all the tooling and stuff. And he said the other day, like, I moved an event, I moved an arrow from one place to another, and it fixed a bug I was having. Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah, he didn't have to write code. He just drag and drop.
Drag something, drag and drop, and he fixed it. It's crazy.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it's been so cool guiding you through all this. And,
well, I appreciate it so much. It's awesome, and this is a great example of where I need it. I obviously need this.
Totally.
My auth flow is already complex, but I had sort of like, now it is kind of interesting because there's a part of me that wants to kind of combine this with MobX. So having it set up where when you're making changes to your, I guess, your context, your context could be like a MobX object that's being observed somewhere, and then your stuff's re-rendering as your state machine's working, and your state machine doesn't really care about it. Like you're just literally manipulating the state, and then the state is being reactive wherever it goes. So I have some ideas on that. It's beyond the scope of what we want to do here, but I'm going to play with it a little bit and see if that makes sense. And take all of the state transitions out of it, but like just, set properties on a MobX observable object.
Sounds great.
And then have it affect I have some ideas there.
You can just take, instead of the assign actions, you can just pass a plain function and you can do whatever you want inside them.
Okay.
So you could just ping something up to MobX and have it store it for you and get everything working.
I'm kind of interested if I could just wrap. Now I know it's immutable though. This could be that could maybe not work, but wrap the context in an observable somehow, or I don't know. Just have ideas.
There is support for like observables with XState as well. So if you poke around the docs, you can maybe find that. But I don't know whether it's like RxJS based. I don't know whether that's that would work. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that might be there. I guess one of the big things here as well is XState is watching what's changing within the context as well, and it needs to know about changes too. So you can't just go and mutate something. You need to. Yeah, that's right. It can, but XState could sit and subscribe to MobX and listen for changes, and you could derive events from those changes. Yeah.
For instance.
Another option is: do you have any sort of like middleware or hooks where you can look at state changed, and get a snapshot of what state changed somehow?
Oh, like inside XState, for instance.
Inside of XState, and just have a watcher that just sort of like synchronizes the state between.
Totally. Yeah. So inside our use auth flow, we've got our interpret, and we can say auth flow actor.subscribe, and you get the latest state.
Really? And it will fire anytime that. This will fire anytime that that the state changes.
So anytime the state changes, anytime the context changes, anytime. If it receives an event which it can't receive, then it won't change. But yeah, any meaningful change it will update on.
That would work. Yeah, that's all I would have to do. I just have to pop that in there, and I would pretty much right here just have the ability to update my MobX state, which will then update my UI. I don't need to worry about changing that really much, other than deriving a few things here and there. But for the most part, I'm just watching the state. update my MobX state. There's no connection, no direct connection between, I'm not maybe using XState React, but like I can use, and then there might be some things outside of my state machine that I'm watching and that I'm manipulating in other ways.
Totally.
So
and you, by the way, you can just send events to the auth flow actor directly. So you could just say like auth flow actor.send.
Oh,
you can just send it.
Okay.
Yeah. Something there.
That's really good. Yeah, that's really good. I might actually like the way I'm seeing this auth flow actor works more how my brain works. And so I think I could probably use that more directly rather than trying to use hooks and like, the use actor hook and whatnot.
Totally. It works great for singletons. If you want it tied to your direct the component directly and spawn multiple of them,
right?
Like that, with components, then it works great too.
Exactly. Yep. Okay, cool. Well, thanks again. Seriously, this is so awesome, Matt. It was great to finally meet you and work with you on this. Hope I didn't wear you out too much. This was a lot. All big fire hose of stuff.
It's great. It's great. I've definitely had harder singing students for sure.
Awesome. A couple of questions we didn't get to just before we leave. How can I convince my company to use XState? Just have them watch this stream. Easy.
Show them the visual editor, baby.
There you go. Yeah.
Show them the type gen. We're even we just are releasing light mode next week as well, so it looks kind of friendlier for your project manager and that kind of thing. We're calling it manager mode instead of light mode.
There are some things I use light mode on for sure, because I have astigmatism in it that like dark mode, sometimes I get halo effects on. Simon was gone. Ruby Bose says, it's me, Leon. I changed my account for some reason. Don't ask me why, and keep going. Derek says, thanks, Matt and Jamon. This was a fantastic stream. Thanks everybody for joining. Really appreciate Matt coming on and everybody for joining us. Go follow Matt at mpocock1 on Twitter.
Yep.
He may change that at some point, but for now, that's what it is.
It'll be better, yeah. Go in there and check out mattpocock.com as well for my advanced TypeScript course. Check out stately.ai for all things stately.
Perfect. And thanks to David Crochet as well for his work on all this stuff. It's really cool. We'll see you all next time.